Should be sharp enough. Yeah, save it for later. Cheese for everyone. Or cheese for no one. Welcome back to a special edition of Mystic Mage Mead. Today, we're not doing anything with cheese. I just like cheese. Of course, so does Sheogorath, the Daedric Prince of Madness. I have his Wabbajack. What we're going to discuss is not going to be any sort of Daedric weapons or Dragon Priest masks. Of course, I hear you can raise your alchemy skill wearing this, but not today. We don't need it. We're going to go ahead and make Argonian Bloodwine without having to spend a lot of septins. Just keep those over there. Okay. So what are we going to do first? We're going to go ahead and take our Lavalin EC1118 yeast and go ahead and start our rehydration of the yeast. So I'm just going to pour some Concord grape wine. This is going to be the base to our blood wine. It's not going to be mead today. You can go ahead and pour about that much. And we're only making a gallon of this, so I'm just going to use approximately half a pack. About right. The reason we're using Concord grape juice is because it's actually a really nice red color. We'll let that rehydrate. I actually sewed this bag up myself. I don't know if you could tell, I'm kind of a fan. And I got skills to make my own leather coin purses. Anyway, what we're going to do is, I've already laid the ingredients out. I'm just going to go over them one by one. So in here is 3 kiwis. Basically, I got all the juices out with keeping as few of, if not any, of the seeds that come in it out of the container. I also used about 2 small blood oranges. If you can't find blood oranges, just get a regular orange. I had to look a little harder for these, but they're not hard to find. I'll be eating that one later. I'm going to use 32 ounces of black cherry juice. Whenever you use juice of any kind, you want to make sure that in the ingredients list, of course you can't see it here, but I'll just explain it. It doesn't say potassium metabisulfate or potassium sorbate. Those hinder, stop, and or kill yeast production. So if you were to use that as your base, you wouldn't really be fermenting anything. If fermentation did start, I mean, that's cool, but why take the chance? We're also going to be using, you can't really see it in here, but there is large pieces of chopped red pepper. I used 2 arbor chilies, so they're kind of spicy. I also used 1 star anise pod. I broke it up into about 5-second sections, and then I also used 2 whole cloves. They're pretty potent, the cloves and the star anise. Star anise actually adds a licorice flavor. It's very strong, so that's why we're only using 1 pod. We're also going to be using, if you can guess what this is, go ahead and leave a comment down below before I say it. Of course, I don't think you'll do that. I wouldn't. I would just wait for me to tell you that it's organic blue agave nectar, 1 cup. It's actually filled a little higher than 1 cup, but that's just because I know that some will not come out of the vessel and pour into where I need to go, so I'll still get a cup out of it. I think that is all I used. So without further ado, let's start mixing stuff up and getting a higher alchemy skill. Like I said, I already have just the juices with almost no pulp from the kiwi and the blood oranges. Gonna go ahead and add the blue agave nectar. Gonna go ahead and add our peppers, star anise, I'm going to add the 32 ounces of black cherry juice. By the way, this smells fantastic. Obviously, this is about a gallon. Up to right here is literally a gallon on this thing, so we're not even at half. So I'm going to go ahead and see what this gets us. I have a feeling that we're going to be pouring a solid full container of this, and I may have to use some more. Looks like I will. Yep. So we're going to go ahead and mix this up, and I'm going to have to go get a carboy to pour it into. So I will be right back. And I have more juice here. Now the reason I'm not using water is because I want to get all the sugar content that I can. I don't think this is going to have a very high ABV. Of course, that can always change. I could always step feed it. But I'm not going to make any more predictions, as my last two videos I predicted what I thought it was going to be, and wasn't even close. Now, for anyone who has not played Skyrim or Oblivion and doesn't know what's been going on, an Argonian is basically a lizard humanoid creature. They hail from Black Marsh, and they're pretty fearsome warriors. In-game lore, they were kind of controlled by the they have a centralized tree. I can't remember the name of it, it escapes me at the very moment, but the Hist, basically, it's not one tree, it's like a whole forest of them, basically sentient. And during the Oblivion crisis in-game, they were all organized by the Hist to invade Oblivion, whereas the Daedric lords and creatures from Oblivion were wreaking havoc on Cyrodiil and everywhere else across Nirn. The Argonians were invading Oblivion and basically making them retreat from Black Marsh because they were going and slaughtering everything. So in replicating their blood, I don't want to use anything that's weak, and I want to make sure it represents what a true lizard creature / warrior would represent. So I want to do it justice. That's why I use these ingredients. I wanted to have some spice, some licorice, and basically some good flavors. Now, it's hard to see on the video, but this is like a perfect blood color. And the colors usually don't change too much. If anything, this might clear out a little bit. Which is fine. I like to get my mead nice and clear. The reason, my wine, my mead, whatever I make, I like to make nice and clear. And yes, I have washed my hands and sanitized them in Star Sand solution. As well as whatever I'm using. Now, rehydrating the yeast, I'm just going to kind of stir it every little while. Make sure it's rehydrating properly. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill this carboy up even more. Now, it doesn't matter what kind of juice you buy. You can literally make wine out of any fruit or fruit juice you want. Wine is usually grapes, but adding cherries or kiwi, it's not going to make it a different sort of thing. It's not going to turn into a mead. As far as I know, using blue agave won't change what type of wine it is. Meads are a little different. Using, maple syrup creates an acerglyn. Anything with less honey and more of something else, say you're making a beer and you use more honey than you do barley, malted barley, that'd still be a mead. If you're using more malted barley than honey, it's probably a beer. If you're using about the same amount, it's a braggot. But with wines, I don't think it differentiates between types of fruit. It's still wine. So blueberry wine, whatever. Speaking of alcohol, this has been sitting around for a little while. Something I made a little while ago, about 6 months ago. Blackbriar mead. Hopefully, if Maven Blackbriar watches this, she won't have any issue. But, oh well. What's she gonna do? Have the Dark Brotherhood assassinate me? It's just about a gallon, but I still want a little bit more. I like to live dangerously. I'm going to go ahead and shake this up, which introduces oxygen and, of course, helps get all the ingredients mixed evenly. It's pretty dark. Now, if you're like me, you might think, Argonians might have green blood, right? Why aren't you making it a green wine? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because they don't. They have red blood like everything else. It's unfortunate, I know. I kind of want to make a green wine, but sometimes life doesn't go the way you want it to. I'm just glad this isn't Khajiit Bloodwine. I know there doesn't exist anything like that, but it'd be kind of weird. So you can't see it on here, but it's I want to say just about 1.090, which should be, let's see what percent. I want to say 13 to 14%, which is fine with me. I almost want it to be more, but I haven't decided if I want to step feed this yet. It may taste amazing at what it ends up at. Either way, I'm not going to let it go dry. I used EC 1118 because it actually has an 18% tolerance. So if I do want to go more, then usually I go to 14. If I do want to go more than that, I can. For a wine, though, I don't know. I know I'm going to back sweeten. I haven't decided what I'm going to back sweeten with. If anyone has any comments they'd like me to back sweeten with, you can feel free to leave them. I may just do more grape juice in the form of like a concentrate, just so it doesn't increase the volume and it gives as much sugars as possible without ruining the flavor. I could make a simple syrup out of it, but it's already concentrate. There's no need to. Anyway, so now that we have our gravity reading, scratch that, 1.092. I'm just going to go ahead and take a little taste of it. Obviously, it's going to be pretty sweet. A typical juice is usually about 1.070 or 1.060 or anywhere in between. So it's not going to be insanely sweet, but it's going to be good. So, just give me a minute. Just gonna go ahead and put the bung in. And yes, this is called a bung, and it does have a hole, which this fits right into. This is called the airlock. If you have some sort of 90s nostalgia and want to say it's a bunghole, that's fine, but no one's going to be laughing. Except for maybe Sheogorath. Anyway, let's go ahead and fill this with some sanitized water or star sand. I'm just going to do things the proper way. I'm going to go ahead and get some star sand in here. Okay, so I basically just would pour the star sand into the airlock, which would eliminate the need for anything like alcohol. People have been known to put alcohol in there. You can do just water. It's really a preference, but the star sand, no bugs are going to get in. It's going to make sure that nothing gets in, only comes out. Like I said before in another video, the yeast eat the sugars, whatever sugar it may be, and they produce carbon dioxide, CO2, and alcohol. Huh. A septum. I think I'll be taking that. Stop! You violated the law. Gotta go.